Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing UPSC 2023 GS1 paper and its Indian society part. So today our aim is to first tell you how to structure your Indian society answers plus discuss the model answer key. So this year, that is your 2023 paper, it had 6 questions and questions were such that they appear to be very generic in nature, but still it becomes, when you actually start writing those answers, it becomes a little difficult to generate points. So through today's answer key, we'll see what should be the basic frameworks for writing Indian society question, how to attempt such generic questions, and help you scoring more marks in GS1. So you have to remember that GS1 is just not history or geography. A very important part is your society also. And society, if you are reading, the syllabus is very short, so it is a very high yielding area if you are doing it very nicely, because history again has ancient is there, medieval is there, world is there, post independence. So there is a lot of preparation to be done for 6-7 question here. 6-7 question from a very concise syllabus has to be there. So be very proficient in your Indian society questions if you want to score high in your GS1. Okay, let's get into the answer writing thing. So just briefly, I'll tell you how to start writing answer, and it is not just for your Indian society. You can replicate in any GS answers. First is your introduction. Introduction, simply start with the definition of the keyword of the question, or secondly, you can write a current affair or a statistics. As we discuss the questions today, we will see what are the different types of introductions in your answers. Then is your body of your answer, which carries the maximum marks, right? If it's a 10 marker, almost 75 to 80% of marks lie in your body of your answer. Here, the main demand of the question has to be met. So body of your answer, you can divide into two parts. Thesis, what is being directly asked in the question, and other is the antithesis. Antithesis is the criticism part or challenges part, or you can say the other side of the argument, just simply the other side of the argument. So in UPSC, your answers have to be very balanced. Even if they're not asking about the other side of the argument, you always have to write it to make it very balanced and comprehensive. Last is your conclusion, which we call as synthesis. Synthesis part means a middle path, or synthesizing whatever arguments for or against you have written in your answer, and mostly consists of way forward or some solution. Right? So this is the basic structure, and today through the 2023 question, we'll see how to replicate this structure in your answers. Okay, so first question was, do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? So they're asking that marriage is a social institution, right? It's a sacred bond. It is a long time commitment. Is it losing its value? Its value is going down in modern India, right? So the keyword here is marriage. So now question is how to introduce your answer. So introduction can be, again, like I told you, of different types. Either simply start with the definition of marriage. So marriage is a social institution which is legally and socially sanctioned, right? And it gives status to the offsprings. It gives legitimacy to the children born out of it. Family comes into being through marriage. So simple definition of marriage, just one line definition. Always make sure your introduction part is not more than 1 or 2 lines. Right? Don't waste your words on just introduction. Introduction is important, but it should be limited to your 1 or 2 lines, maximum 15 to 20 words. Okay, moving forward. If you are not aware about the definition, what you can do is you can write some statistics. Recently, one survey was done, Government Mint CPR Millennial Survey, which says that 1/4 of the millennial population, millennial are people born between 1980s to 1994. These people are known as millennials, and next generation is known as your Gen Z generation. So the millennials, which are right now of marriageable age, 1/4 of them are not interested in getting married, and 1/5 do not want children. So again, through introduction, either you define the marriage institution or you are telling that whatever you have asked in the question, it makes sense through your current affair. Or there is another statistic, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation found some concerning statistics that there is a reducing status of marriage in India, right? Number of youth who want to get married, it is decreasing nowadays, right? So these are three ways. Choose any of the one way in your answer. This will save your time. Do one exercise, whatever term is given in your syllabus explicitly, just learn its proper definition. You'll save that 1 minute which you waste on thinking about the introduction. Okay, next is your body of your answer. Now the question asked is, do you think marriage is as a sacrament is losing its value? So now to make the answer balanced, although it's asking about your opinion, you give both sides of the coin. That yes, it is losing its value. No, its value is still there in the society. So both the arguments after they are done, then you concluded that okay, you feel this way, that whatever we'll see when we cover your conclusion part. Okay, so body of your answer, first you will start that yes, it is losing its value. You will give arguments for. So first point is that there are changing social norms in the society. Now marriage as a social institution, which was seen very important in the traditional society, it is slowly being replaced by some alternative institutions, like for example live-in relationships. Live-in relationships are increasingly becoming more acceptable in the society. Now this can be because of work pressure, or you do not want a full-time commitment, or you feel that marriage is a lifelong thing. Before that, you should know your mental, physical, emotional compatibility with the other person. So it clearly shows that marriage, which was seen as very important, that okay, you've crossed a certain age, now marriage is very important, or if you are above 30, you should get married. If you're not getting married, it is a serious issue. That social norm is changing. Now you find people even marrying after 30, even people marrying after 40, right? And there are people who remain spinster all their life. So that social norm is changing, and it is being cushioned by certain Supreme Court judgments also. So one of the very recent Supreme Court judgment in 2013, it said that if there are two live-in partners, they will be covered under Domestic Violence Act because they are staying together. So we want to preserve the dignity of the woman. So any kind of violence, if it is happening between two partners, even if they are not married, we will provide them protection. So again, that social norm is changing. The taboo is decreasing, that oh, two people are living together without marriage. That norm, when is changing, your value automatically goes down. Next is your higher divorce rate. So normally if you see, India has one of the lowest divorce rate, right? Almost just 1.1%. But over the years, a survey by UN has found that it has doubled, right? So again, it is telling, previous in traditional society, once you are married for life. There was no, obviously there is an avenue for divorce, but it was not seen in a very positive sense. It was seen as a stigma, as a taboo, right? But now people, if they find them caught between the marriage, or there is no compatibility with the partners, or the partner might be abusive, or might be indulging in some kind of violence, so they are not shying away from getting divorced. They're not thinking, marriage as something very divine, or that if you are married once, you cannot get a divorce. So again, showing that marriage as an institution is losing its value, right? Then there is a rising individualism. People are now concerned more about their individual choices, individual preferences. They find it little difficult to adjust with other persons. If we see traditionally in India, if we see, what is marriage? Marriage is all about adjusting, about compromising your own needs, about sacrifices. But now with development of the society, it is moving more towards your individualism rather than collectivism. So again, you are not seeing marriage, probably the problem are arising in marriages, you're going for divorce, or even you're not marrying, that I cannot handle some other person who will change my individual style of living, or who will take up my space, right? Then last is your economic independence. So economic independence, it is very important when we see from women's point of view. So in traditional India, if we see in our society, it's not that people don't want to take divorce or marriages were very fine, they were very good. But one thing was that the women were not financially independent. They were depending upon their husband for money, right? Their education was low, their skills were low, they had not gone out to work. So even if the marriage was bad, even if their husband was abusive, they were not leaving him because they were not economically independent. That if divorce happens, parents won't take them back because of the taboo. And plus, how would they survive? Right? If they have children, then again problem arises. How will she feed those children? But nowadays, women are economically independent. They are well educated. They have acquired a good amount of jobs. They are in well paying jobs. So if they find that the marriage is not working for them, right? They're not seeing that it is some kind of sacrament or a lifelong commitment. They'll see, okay, I'll give a second chance to the marriage also. If this is not working, it's okay if I divorce, or it's okay if I remain single for my life. So again, these arguments are suggesting that marriage as a sacrament, as a sacred bond, as a sacred duty, as a lifelong commitment, it is losing its value, right? So this is one side of the argument. Now, if we move on to the second part of the argument, that no, it still holds some significance, right? So now first you can write down that, there is still cultural significance surrounding marriage. Even if you are in a live-in relationship, there are certain, Bollywood actors, different movie stars who have been in a very long live-in relationship. But ultimately, what is the goal? Goal is marriage only. Even if before marriage you are living with your partner, again, why are you living? Because ultimately you want to have some stable, environment for you, for your children, future children. So you will ultimately marry it. So cultural significance of marriage hasn't gone down. It is just that for a temporary period, for some amount of time, you are replacing, not replacing, but as a kind of a precursor to the institution of marriage, right? So it is not losing its value at all. Still, marriages are being celebrated with such pomp and show, right? So again, marriage still holds a cultural significance. It is still seen as important in the society, right? If you are married, it is seen with a lot of reverence, a lot of respect for you. Then legal framework in the country, there are marriage acts, special marriage acts are there, divorce laws are there, right? So again, the legal framework still exists. If marriage wasn't that important, why a legal framework would exist in a country? So that is existing. That again says marriage is still important. It still holds its value. Then your family bonds. First of all is your family will come into being only when marriage is there. So if you want a family for yourself, you want a psychological, emotional support for yourself, you want some people who can you call your own blood, right? So those things will come only when you are married. You are legally sanctioning your union, sexual union, right? You are legitimizing your children. So for that familial bonds, you will need marriage. Secondly, in India, family is still your own family. Before marriage, it still holds a very high importance. So your family members also will take it as a positive thing if you are getting married, right? So made, you can say, in the form of pressure or out of love, they will always try to convince you for marriage. Again, shows that marriage is it is still holding some value. It is, at the end of the day, it's still a goal for people to have stability in their life, to have emotional support in their life, to have psychological support in their life, right? Then last is emotional commitment. So in India, if we see, say for example, aged population, if we say in India, still you do not have proper geriatric centers. You do not have proper old age homes. We are still dependent upon our offsprings, on our spouses to take care of ourselves, right? Not just physically, but emotionally, right? Nobody wants to go into an empty house where no one is there to share their joys, their sorrows, right? So that emotional commitment will not come with any institution other than your marriage, right? And after marriage, when you have your kids. So again, it shows that marriage is still holding that value, right? So now, doesn't the answer look very balanced? You've given both the arguments that yes, in some cases losing its value, other cases it still holds its value. So now your answer is very balanced, very comprehensive. UPSC is looking for such civil servants who can give a very balanced view, right? Not a very extreme views, not biased views, right? Now next is your conclusion. In conclusion, you just simply summarize that there are some areas in which marriage not exactly losing values, but it is being temporarily being replaced by certain other institutions, right? People are going for more individuality, they want more freedom, but this is a very temporary phase. Still the end goal is marriage. And in marriage also, people nowadays are going for love marriages, where they found that, other person will respect their individuality, their privacy, their space, at the same time living together as a married couple. So you summarize everything, right? So this is your first answer. Now next question is about child cuddling is now being replaced by mobile phones. Discuss its impact on the socialization of children, right? So child cuddling here is being used as a metaphor where there is a close bond, right? When you cuddle a child, right? You make him sit on your lap, caress through his hair, or you give him some peck on the cheek. That is all your child cuddling that results in a bond between the parents and the child. So now that is being replaced by your mobile phones, right? So you have to discuss its impact on the socialization of children. What is happening? What impact it is having on children? So now again, so this is just one picture showing that how a small child, he is glued to a tab, right? So before we start the answer, we'll just a small example. So now if we see normally in the young couples, if the child is crying, they're so busy, rather than pacifying him, taking him into the lab, asking him what went wrong, they'll just hand him over a tablet with YouTube open, he can watch videos. So this is being replaced by your phones, your technology. Rather than embracing your child, rather than hugging your child, right? So what impact it is having on socialization? So now first you will introduce it. You can introduce it by probably defining socialization, right? Or what you can, more relevant thing should be, you can write some statistic. And one thing you will see, that any question which is being asked in UPSC, there will be something in the news, right? There was one statistics which said that children's screen time during COVID, right? Before and during COVID, it spiked by 52% between 2020 and 2022. This was a very recent statistic which was released. So again, they have asked a related question. So read your newspapers very clearly. It might appear as a very innocent statistics, but see the analysis behind it, why it is happening, what will be the impact behind it, right? Okay. Then, or you can just define, there is a term nowadays, iPad babies. iPad babies, generally it is used to describe a child who, instead of getting to play with physical toys or bonding with his parents or socializing, he is engrossed in front of his iPad or your mobile phones. You can just write this definition also, right? So your choice, I'm giving you different choices. See, whatever anybody is telling you, any teacher, any topper is telling you, that is only indicative. Develop your own style of writing. So if you are comfortable in defining the terms at the start of your answer, or if you're comfortable with learning statistics, it's purely your choice. I'm giving you 3 choices, but just choose between these so that your introduction looks good. Okay, next, in the body of your answer, before we discuss what is the impact of this, we will first see that why it is happening, why your mobile phones are now replacing your child cuddling, that embracing of your child, hugging of that child. So why this is happening? First point is your dual career families. Traditionally, women used to be at home, take care of the children, instill values in them, love them, teach them things, tell them values surrounding, how to share things, how to talk to other people, tell them, increase their emotional quotient, talk about empathy, talk about honesty. So these things were done because the mother was there with the child 24/7, right? But now the society has changed. Women has also started going out and working, right? She's also having a 9 to 5 job, so she doesn't have that much of time to spend with her child. So because of this dual career families where the couple, both of them are working, so it has led to the replacement of their parent child bond with some technology. And related point is, there is a busy lifestyle. Even if they're coming back home at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they have to take care of the household, get ready for the next day, do some office work, prepare some PPT. So it's a very busy lifestyle, or probably go and socialize with their friends, or the neighbors or something. So out of a busy lifestyle or out of convenience, like I told you, if the child is crying, you will prefer that, okay, I'm just tired from my office, I'll better hand him or her over the iPad or the mobile phone where he can watch some cartoon or some game or something. I'll be relieved of the duty, right? Probably this is not because of lack of love, because simply out of convenience. It's not that they have completely stopped interacting with their children, but major part of the child's life is being surrounded by technology rather than parents. Then technology accessibility. Your technology is becoming more. Previously, if you see in child 90s or 80s, what was there? There was just one television that was there in the living room. But now everybody has a mobile phone, everybody has an iPad, so that accessibility has increased. Now you can easily just hand over to that child. Child can go to his room, or just scroll somewhere with that particular mobile phone or tablet. So that accessibility has also led to being more use of technology in the socialization of children. Then next is your parental use. Now children in their growing age, they model their parents. Whatever the parents are doing, they'll try to copy that, right? So if you see, in small girls, it's very common. If they see their mother applying lipstick, they will, probably very slyly, or in the absence of their mother, they'll try to, use those makeup products, right? So they model their parents. If parents are speaking loudly or probably using some words which they should not be using in front of children, they start using the similar. So they model their parents during the development age. Now what is happening? Adults themselves are so glued to the social media, so glued to their mobile phones, right? So children automatically model that, right? Their screen time obviously will increase. They will try, or they will cry for that particular mobile phone rather than interacting with their parent, because they want to copy their parents. Then lastly, lack of outdoor spaces. Metropolitan cities, urban cities, there is a lack of space. You're living in high-rise buildings, right? Very less open spaces there. Gone are the days when children used to gather in the playgrounds, play football, play different games, right? Now you hardly find children who are playing in the playgrounds. Playgrounds are empty, even if there is some space for them to play. So lack of outdoor spaces, right? So these are the factors which is leading to this, replacement of your child, cuddling, embracement of the child by your mobile phones, or you can say by the technology. Now the main part of the question, now this part you have to explain very briefly, right? You can in fact just enumerate these points, and in case in the PPT here we are just discussing major points. So if you want the full key, I will in the description box we'll provide one link to the whole entire answers which are explained in detail, because this PPT is this is for the video purposes. So detailed answer key you can check in the comment, this description box, and you will have the link to that. Okay. Now next, what is the impact? This is the main part of the question. So your major words should be surrounding the impact. Now, impact, first of all, is there is a reduced face-to-face interaction with the child. This hardly any interaction with the parents. You're not learning how to develop your social skills, to develop your emotional intelligence, right? How to talk to your parents, how to understand your parents or your child. So that face-to-face interaction goes very down. And because of this, especially in the small children, there is delayed communication skills. If you see in the previous times, what used to happen, there, first of all, they were living in joint family. So there are grandparents, there are aunts, there are uncles. There's a huge families there. at least 7-10 people are there, and if there is a small child, everybody is trying to interact with the small child, right? They're trying to speak to him, and child ultimately unconsciously tries to speak those words, although not clear speech, but he tries to emulate, he tries to say few words. But now that interaction has gone down. Now you are replacing it with your mobile phones, where there is just one sided conversation is happening, right? And that too, it is more of a visual experience rather than somebody teaching you or asking you something. So because of this, there is a delayed communication skills being seen in the children today. Children previously used to start talking around 2 years or even 1.5 years, usually blabbing only, but still they started picking up the language, trying to convey their things. But those things, that delayed communication skills right now is being witnessed in the children. Then limited empathy. So all these skills, all these values, empathy, your integrity, honesty, you develop when you talk to your parents, right? When you interact with them, when they help them understand that, okay, you've done this thing wrong. But there will be always a lack of empathy. You will not understand the other person's view when you are only glued to your the technology, your tablet or your mobile phones. Then social development is also impaired. Your problem solving abilities, your conflict resolution, cooperation, sharing, these things come only when you interact, right? It doesn't come by sticking to your computer screen, by your mobile phones. You have to go out, you have to interact, parents have to make them understand. So all these things are impaired social development is there. And there have been certain surveys which says that children nowadays are having this attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. ADHD is becoming very common because of this. Even in adults today, if you see, nowadays we are consuming so much data through Instagram, so through Facebook. Every second we are scrolling so much and consuming so much data that our concentration levels are coming down. That is why aspirants are usually advised, don't use social media, because the concentration level goes down. The minute you put down your phone, after 1 minute or even few seconds, you have that urge to pick it up again, right? So that thing, it is impairing and it is leading to this problems where there is attention deficit is there, right? So this is becoming very common, and it is a part of your social development that is being lacking in these children. Then they are becoming prone to cyberbullying and online harassment. This becomes very a very grave issue, because you are exposed to that online world. You do not know how to properly scroll it, so you will be a victim of online trolling, harassment, or probably in extreme cases of child pornography, or somebody might bully you. So all these things are becoming very common. Then decrease physical activities. So your cases of obesity, right, health disorders are increasing because you're not exercising enough, you're not going out enough. The last things which we have been repeating again, the parent-child bond, it goes down. And this parent-child bond is very important when you are in your development stage, right? Usually any kind of your, how do you develop as an adult? It depends upon what kind of bond you had with your parents, what kind of socialization you had. And if you have gone through documentaries of serial killers on various OTTs, there are various kind of series documentaries like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy. All these were very famous, or you can say infamous, serial killers. And when their psychological mapping was done, it was found they had a very troubled childhood, right? Their bond with their parents was very troubled, which led them to become troubled adults. So that bond when goes down, so you will produce unstable adult personalities, right, with some mental disorders, because that bond was missing in the development age. That is very, very important, right? So this is your impact when your child cuddling is being replaced by your mobile phones, or you can say technology. Then lastly, how to conclude it? You can write down that technology has its own positive points also. COVID, we found out that children continued their studies through online education. There are various tools which they can learn different things, indulge in their different hobbies, do some extracurricular work. But there has to be proper control. There has to be proper time limit. There has to be parental control on different websites. So parent consent plus parent supervision is very important. You fix some time that, okay, 1 hour will be there or half an hour will be there only if you go out and play, right? Only if you cover your homework, and not as a replacement to, if you are busy or something like that. So there has to be a balance maintained, because we are living in a technological society. We cannot escape from mobile phones or iPads, that okay, we will have a no iPad zone at home. That is not possible, right? We can try for it, but okay, it won't survive for more than 1 week at max. So you better try to adjust with these things. Try to maximize the positive impact of the technology. So you create some parental control on the children and increase your interaction with the child rather than handing over them the mobile phones or your tablets. Right? So like this, you conclude your answer. So this is a comprehensive answer. First, you explained why this is happening. Then main part or main demand of the question, what is the impact, and then you conclude the answer. Next, third question is, explain why suicide among young women is increasing in Indian society. So now this again was in news. There was a statistic which your National Crime Records Bureau released, that out of 1.6 lakh person who committed suicide last year, around 45,000 were females, right? So because of this, right, they have asked you that why your suicide is increasing among the young women. What are the causes? So this is a picture showing a breakup of the NCRB records. You don't have to learn it, but just go through it so that you understand that housewives are the most effective, then students are there, professionals are there, daily wage earners, women engaged in farming activity, and self-employed persons. So this is the numbers. This is the increasing order of the numbers in which different sections of women are being inflicted, or the suicide rate is more. Okay. Next, now we will cover that, okay, if suicides are happening, what are the reasons behind it? So first and foremost reason are the marital issues. So in Indian society, not most you can say, but a very major chunk of marriages are your arranged marriages, right? So arranged marriages mostly are around there are endogamous, or your according to your caste group. Endogamy means marrying between your caste, right? And mostly all arranged marriage are according to your religion, caste, state. And seeing all these factors, sometimes you miss the most important factor, that is the compatibility between two people, right? So in this arranged marriage structure, sometimes women find them trapped, right? They find them trapped with respect to the day-to-day responsibility. They see that their own ambitions, their goals, right, their wants or their wishes, they are getting sidelined, right? So their entire identity, and I'm not saying that if there is a love marriage, right, if you're choosing your own spouse, this is not happening, but the tendency is mostly here, right? So your identity becomes more as a wife, right, or as a daughter-in-law, right, or as a mother, rather than your own identity. And not just arranged marriage, general marriages also. So this happens, and on the top of it, if you don't have an understanding spouse, so your grievance mechanism is very less. You do not have the option to go back and complain to your parents, right? Because marriage in the Indian society is seen as a very sacred thing, right? Once you are married, we have seen in the first question, it is mostly seen as a permanent thing, right? Divorce is seen as a taboo in our society, stigma in the society, especially for women, right? If you are divorced, it becomes very difficult to find another spouse in the Indian society. So these marital issues, which seem like never ending, right? There is no light at the end of the tunnel. So women are, their mental health takes a toll, and they opt for suicide rather than living for it, or rather than leaving that abusive marriage, or that marriage where the spouse is not adjusting, or that it is not helping. So that is one of the major reason which we see why there is suicide in your Indian house, young women. Then second is your cultural expectation, which is very related to this. So now we are living in a modern society where women are working, right? They have, gained education. They are in high paying jobs, but again, their gender roles are still being expected. Your success as a woman only will be there if you are married, if you are a good wife, if you are a good mother, you're taking care of your in-laws. These cultural expectations are still same. You might be working at the same, working hours as your husband. You're working 9 to, till 8 in the night or 10 in the night, but still your gender roles are there with you. There is a dual burden on women nowadays. So these cultural expectations, right? How to dress, how to talk when you are married, how to sacrifice your own wishes. So all these cultural expectations sometimes make the life of women very suffocating, and some women cannot tolerate it, right? They're not able to air their grievances or ask for help. So this leads to suicide in them. Then next is your lack of access to your mental health services. Again, even if there are marital problems, even if there is a burden of cultural expectation, if we have proper, mental health services, the incidents will be very less. But in India, if we see, first of all, mental health itself is seen as a taboo, right? People do not, even if you have anxiety, not depression, I'm not talking about depression, even if you have anxiety, you have panic attacks, right? So people think if you want to take help, it directly means you are mad, right? But there are different psychological disorders which need a, medical attention. You need a psychologist, you need a psychiatrist where you talk about your problems and they will provide solution. But that is missing. Mental health services are very less, and even if they are there, they're very expensive, right? It is, if a woman is there, she is not financially independent, how can she afford, 1,000 per hour, 1,500 per hour? These are very nominal, I am telling. There are even higher, 2,000, 3,000 per hour to talk to somebody, right? And they'll prefer that, okay, it's okay, I'll just bear whatever is happening in my life rather than talking to someone, right? So this mental health services, which is not affordable right now, the accessibility is low, the affordability is low. So that is also one of the reason why there are suicides. And this is not just the reason among your young women. This is a common reason for everyone in India, if we talk about it, right? India, a few years back, it was declared as a suicide capital in South Asia. Because first of all, you are treating your mental health as a taboo, and plus you do not have enough medical services. Then next is your economic challenges. Again, we have discussed right in before also, that you are not economically independent. You cannot take your own decisions, right? You cannot decide your course of life because you are dependent on money from other. So this also sometimes leads women to taking such extreme steps. Then prevalence of abuse. Either you can include it in marital issues, or you can make a separate thing. Abuse can just not be in the marriage. Young women, they might be, stalked by men, right? Or probably they underwent some kind of harassment at work, or at coming back from their work, or they were there was some rape victim is there, right? Some molestation happens. So usually there is victim shaming surrounding that. Okay, you were not going out at a proper time, you were not wearing a proper dress. So sometimes it takes a toll on your health, right? On your mental health. And there can be a prevalence of abuse in your household itself, right? Mental abuse, physical abuse, right? Some dowry demands can be there, right? So all these takes a toll on your mental health, which can be one of the reasons. Next is your social media and cyberbullying can be present, right? Trolling, online trolling can be there, right? There's another term which is known as revenge porn. Some private videos which you recorded with your partner, they might be, made public after there's some kind of, separation from your partner or something like that. So, or your morphed photos, morphed videos goes online. So, because you're in Indian society, your honor as a woman is very important in any society, not just Indian society. So, if there is any, uh, any kind of uh, any kind of taboo around your character or any kind of stigma around your character arises, you are prone to getting mentally unstable, right? You might uh, go into depression, or you might develop anxiety or some other mental disorders. So this can also be one of the reasons why suicide is more common in your young women. Then last, which is related to this, access challenges in seeking support. Even if you are, financially sound enough to seek this support, but still, there is some taboo around it. You cannot go out openly ask for help, right? Your parents, your family might discourage you that it's okay, you're not, we will go out and, probably go on a trip, we will watch something that will cheer you up. So mental health issue basically are not taken very seriously, right? Until and unless the situation escalates, right? Other than that, normal things, if you're feeling low, if you're not feeling comfortable, you're having panic attacks, that is not taken very seriously. So there are challenges surrounding that support which you have to take for your mental health issues. So these are the reasons which are leading to increased suicide rate among your young women, right? Okay, so now conclusion, you tell certain solution what to do. So first of all thing should be your affordable and accessible mental health services have to be provided, taboos around it has to go down. Then gender equality at home and at workplaces have to be there. Strict, and fast track solving of problems surrounding any kind of harassment or abuse which is happening with women, right? Then housewives who are there, right, who have so much burden of the household, they're not economically independent, probably through AI, through artificial intelligence, work from home avenues can be there through which they can be made economically independent. Then lastly, your legislation and regulation for safer communities where there is no online bullying or any kind of abuse or any kind of, a woman being exposed to that kind of unsafe environment, that should be dealt with very hard laws. These can be some of the solutions which you can write in your conclusion part, right? So this was the question about increasing suicide rate among women. Now next question is, fourth question, why is caste identity in India both fluid and static? So now you have to take care, they're asking why and not how. There's a difference between how and why, right? So you have to give reasons which is making caste system in India static, that is not changing, right? It is rigid, and at the same time it is fluid, which is undergoing a change. Even if a minute change is there, there is some fluidity in this system. So now how to introduce this answer? So again, just define what is caste system. It's a system of social stratification where there are hereditary occupation, endogamies, there's some civil and religious disabilities are involved, and social mobility is very less, it's restricted, right? So this you can just simply define caste system. So definition, most of your answer can be just introduced with your definition. So now next we will cover the body of your answer. So there will be two parts. First you will discuss how this caste system, why this caste system is static. What is it leading to its characteristics where it is unchanging, right? It has not changed since the Vedic age up to here. Why it has not changed? So reason is that it provides a social hierarchy. It is a system of social hierarchy which was formulated back in Vedic age. So you have Brahmins at the top, you have Kshatriyas, you have Vaishyas, and then you have Shudras, right? And outside there are also Dalits, which are known as Avarnas. So this scheme is known as your Chaturvarna scheme, right? Chaturvarna in your Sanskrit, that means fourfold classification. So this fourfold classification is there, which provides hierarchy and is based on birth. Once you are born in particular family, you automatically gain that kind of social hierarchy, that social status. So it is decided by birth. So how can you change something which is being decided by birth, right? That is leading to its unchanging form. Secondly is your endogamy, right? So caste purity or caste identity has been maintained through so many years because there was endogamy. You marry within your caste only. You maintain the purity of your caste system. That is why Dr. Ambedkar in his book Annihilation of Caste, he says that if we are very serious about eradicating caste system, first step should be intercaste marriages, right? If intercaste marriages are happening over the period of time, say 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, we will automatically get freedom from the shackles of caste system. So endogamy again is making the system very static. Today also, marrying within the caste is seen as preferable, right? Today also honor killings are happening because if young couples are going for intercaste marriages. So again, endogamy is making it static. Then political affiliation, today your vote bank politics are purely in caste system. Politicians themselves are not helping eradicate, rather than they are stressing more on vote bank or vote mobilization according to the caste system. Then local traditions in your village level, city level, your rites, your rituals, your customs, they're all according to their caste and are being preserved by a particular caste, right? So these things are also leading to caste forming a very rigid form, very static forms, which where it is seen that it is unchanging, right? This will move on for centuries because of this, because it provides a social hierarchy. It is based on endogamy. Political affiliations are according to caste, and then local traditions, your rites, your rituals, your customs are surrounding a caste. Now, if we see from this view, it appears as very static, but over the years, there have been some changes in the society which has made caste system fluid, right? There is some changes happening in the caste system. So now economic mobility has been provided. Now you're free to take up education, free to take up any job. So your education is providing you mobility. Today a Dalit can become an IAS officer, he can become a doctor, he can become any kind of professional. So this economic mobility, right? Today you are not, a Dalit is not restricted just to, cleaning work or sweeping work or leather work. You are having a economic mobility. So again, it has changed that rigid nature that if you are born in certain family, you do this particular work. So economic mobility. Then your legal and political reforms, right? Legally, you have now different laws are there where you have freedom of choice of occupation is there, right? Or you have say SC/ST atrocity, prevention of SC/ST atrocity act is there. Nobody can call you names, right? Nobody can discriminate you. Then constitution also, right? Say Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Again, it is tinkering away very important aspects of caste system, your constitution, your law, your political reforms, right? All these things are helping changing the particular nature of the caste system. Then there is a term called Sanskritization. It was given by one sociologist by the name of M.N. Srinivasan, where it says that certain aspects of caste system are very minor, being changed by a term known as Sanskritization, which is a process by which people belonging to low caste, they emulate or copy the high caste people, their lifestyle, right, their customs, So this provides them certain respect in the society, right? So this also is happening, change the in that static nature of caste system. Then political decentralization, panchayats, it provided reservation to your SC candidates previously who were just servants in your villages. Now they're becoming sarpanchs also. So again, you're targeting at the root of the caste system where you were reserving the positions of power just for few castes. Then there is a concept of dominant caste also. So the only one, there's scholar M.N. Srinivas, he only gave this two terms: Sanskritization, copying the lifestyle customs of the higher caste, and dominant caste. So in dominant caste, he says that certain agricultural castes, because they owned land, right, and they had major economic success because of green revolution, plus their numbers are more, and because their numbers are more, they are gaining political power, and they already, due to green revolution, has economic power. So these agricultural castes, which are ideally in your Shudra caste, they are becoming dominant in a particular village, in a particular region because of this. So if you say land owning agricultural caste, say in Haryana and Punjab, Jats are there, right? Yadavs, Kurmi in UP, Bihar, Patels, right? Reddys in South India. All these are land owning. So there, traditionally, according to caste system, their status was low. But in the modern times, you will see these castes only occupy majorly your political posts. They are economically very good because of land owning. Because of these reasons also, attack on the caste system, attack on its static nature is happening. Okay. So lastly, conclusion, you can write down that, caste identity in India is a very complex phenomena, right? It is a reality that it is still continuing in 2023, right? We have progressed so much, but you can say that slowly cracks are happening, which are tinkering away its static nature. We have started our journey towards its elimination, right? Lot of things need to be done, right? Proper implementation of affirmative action, right? Taking care of education, etc., of the lower caste. All these things have to take place. You have to change the caste mentality in people. That has to happen. Proper implementation of laws has to happen, right? Manual scavenging, although has been banned on paper, but still it exists. So all these things has to happen if we want that not just the caste system should become a fluid in nature, but next stage should be we eliminate it, right? But we have started with, when your fluidity in some system comes, so slowly it is moving towards its abolition or elimination only. So like this you can conclude your answer. Okay, so we are done with the caste system question. Next is your, does urbanization, it's related to urbanization, does urbanization lead to more segregation and marginalization of the poor in Indian metropolis? So keyword is urbanization, and you have to talk about the poor segregation. So first of all, be very clear, segregation is mostly your physical one, right? Marginalization, when there is loss of voice, right? Or your importance or your value is not much, right? Nobody is concerned about you. People are indifferent about you. You are at the boundaries, right? Or at the bottom. Your opinion, your lives don't matter at all. That is marginalization. So question is urbanization leading to more segregation and marginalization of poor? So first, you just define, just write about urbanization, rural to, people moving from rural to urban, demography changes there, occupational structure changes there. Or you can just give a statistic that urban poverty, because it's talking about urban poor, is about 5.5% based on India's demographic and health survey, which was recently undertaken in 2020-21. So these are the two ways. Next, your body of your answer should be divided into two parts: segregation, although you can discuss together also, but if you want more marks, just segregate it, that segregation and marginalization, right? So segregation, like I told you, more of a physical component. So segregation, first of all, economic segregation. Urban poor, the people, they are already low on skills, low on education, right? So economically already they are in your low paying jobs. So there is a segregation in your cities. Then housing segregation is there. Mostly they are in your slums, in their ghettos, right? They're living in housing which are very unsuitable for living because proper sanitation is not there, cleanliness is not there. In one room, 5 people, 10 people are living, very small, very dilapidated housing situations are there. So again you are segregating, physically segregating them. There are high rise building and on the other side there are slums, right, in the outskirts of the city, or even like you'll have a rich neighborhood and then there will be a poor neighborhood. So you're physically preparing a boundary that, okay, this is our gated community. No poor person is allowed to come here, right? Okay. Then there is a social and cultural segregation also among these people. Recently, example, there was Ganpati, there's a very famous Ganpati installation in Mumbai. There's an area called Lal Bagh. So he's known in Marathi, he's known as Lal Bagh Cha Raja. It means, Lal Bagh's Raja. So Ganpati is known by this name. So it's very famous. So people wait around 6 to 7 hours, stand in lines to have just Ganpati darshan there. So now there are two lines there, right? One is for the rich, for the Bollywood actors, for the famous people, businessmen, and other there are for people who wait for 10 hours, even 12 hours to just have a darshan of Ganpati. And there also there was a viral video where they were just being shoved off, they were just being pushed out of that line, right, once they reach the Ganpati idol, and proper time is being given to rich people. So this kind of social and cultural segregation, physically you are segregating that this is line for rich persons, this is line for poor people. So again there is a segregation. Then lack of services for them in the poor neighborhoods, proper education, proper health services, so these are lacking. So again you are segregating the infrastructure also in these areas. Then gentrification, the displacement of low income residents from the neighborhood, right, as the property value rises, right, or they want beautification of particular area, they will ask them to displace, they'll buy off that land, right? You are forced to sell your land because your rich neighborhood has to emerge there. This is known as gentrification. And then limited mobility also. The rich neighborhood or a rich part of the city is usually very far away from the other old part. Like we divide the city, old city and new city, right? Or when you see North Bombay, South Bombay, or West Delhi or South Delhi. So there is a cultural difference, and plus it is exaggerated when there is little transportation connection, inadequate system where people can freely go into the other part, right? So this kind of thing in the urban areas, it creates segregation of the poor people. The next is your marginalization of poor. So marginalization, so if you are poor, already your voice is unheard, right? You are not important for the society. Your access is very less to the education, right? The health related services, your hospitals, your dispensaries, they are very less, right? Again, your voice, if you are unhealthy, you are uneducated, your voice will never be heard. And on top of it, your political representation is very low. Again, your voice is not heard. You are being marginalized to the corner. You are not important for us. It gives a signal that you are in the marginalized section. Your voice is not, your well-being is not important. Then they have to bear even the environmental injustice. All the garbage, all the waste from the rich neighborhood, they are being dumped in these areas, right? Because your life is not seen as very important, right? The rich neighborhood or the rich part of the city is more important than the poor people. Then displacement, as we talked about, again there are no stakeholder meeting held that if they want to get displaced from that particular neighborhood, that doesn't happen. So your voice is very less when you are a poor. You are not being heard in the urban areas. So this is leading to marginalization of poor. So we have done both your segregation of the poor and marginalization. It's always better to divide your answer under your different subheadings, write in points. This increases the visibility of your answers, right? Now again, conclusion, just write down about urbanization, better urbanization, urban planning has to be done, subsidized housing has to be given to the poor, more skills education has to be provided, right? We have to, redevelop the slum areas, provide them better living conditions, and urban planning can be made in a better way where there is an inclusive development rather than creating a boundary between the rich part of the city and the poor part of the city. This you can write down in your conclusion. So with this we complete the question on urbanization. Now our last question is, discuss the impact of post-liberal economy on ethnic identity and communalism. So you have to talk about post-liberal. So in 1991, LPG reforms were there, liberalization, privatization, globalization. So liberalization where governmental controls went down, right, on different aspects. Then more private companies came about, and then globalization happened. Now, how does this impact your ethnic identity and communalism? First of all, you should know what is ethnicity only. So now if you talk about ethnicity, it is nothing where a group recognizes itself based on probably race, right, culture, right, practices, or their origin, right? So that is your ethnicity. So basically it's a community, and when this community provides you an identity that yes, I am an Asian, I am an Indian, right, or I am an Hispanic, I am a South Asian. So this is your ethnicity. So it is providing an identity, that is ethnic identity. So you can start by defining just the ethnic identity. And second question is about communalism. So communalism, ideally, if you discuss the definition, so whenever there is ism in any term, ism means an ideology. So communalism is an ideology which there is a strong attachment to one's community, right? And in India, it is seen in a very negative discourse and related to religion, where you have a very unhealthy attachment to your religion, and plus you want certain benefits at the stake of other religion, and you demonize the other people on based of their religion, that there are some stereotypes, or they are taking away our jobs, or they are leading to some discomfort in the society. So that is your communalism. So now we have to combine these things. How? Post-liberal economy, right, where more jobs were created, more infrastructure started developing, right, more outside cultural values came about. How did it impact your ethnic identity and communalism as an ideology? Now, you can divide the answer into two parts. What was the positive impact? It's a very simple answer. If you just get the gist of it, what they are asking, you can easily write down. So positive impact has been, there has been a economic growth, right? More jobs were created, right? Second point we have covered about job. Economic growth, when it stimulated economic growth, improved living standard happened of various ethnic groups. So one thing you have to remember, we are prone to communalism or religion related violence, right, or any kind of religious fundamentalism only if the population is poor, because it becomes, first of all, there will be a feeling of relative deprivation, that I am poor and the other community is rich. There will be a sense of relative deprivation, and this will be exploited by politicians, right, that your level of development is lacking, not because we are not formulating proper policies, it is because of other community. But when you have properly educated community, there is proper economic growth, there are proper job opportunities, your ethnic identity or your religious identity, it takes a backseat, right? Who are the people who are throwing stone in Jammu and Kashmir at the security forces? Those are unemployed youth, right? Who are being promised by non-state actors that, okay, we will give you this amount of money, do this, right? Or any kind of miscreants in the society. They're mostly uneducated and unemployed. No employed person would have a time to go out and indulge in these kind of things, in these kind of violence, right? If so, positive impact has been that through, liberalization, there was economic growth was there. So your ethnic identity, your communal identity, it took a backseat, and especially because it provided your jobs. So this inclusivity was there. Your private sector came about. Nobody was asking about your religion or your ethnic identity. Everybody was getting equally those job opportunities. Then with globalization, your different varied, moral values, your cultural values, values of equality, fraternity, they got ingrained, or they were freshly introduced into the society. Because of that also, your these identities took a backseat. Then civil society and media became very important during this phase. It was not just state controlled media now. Your different viewpoints came about, private media came about, civil society became very important. So they also started promoting dialogue and inclusivity. So this was also another positive impact, where your ethnic identity and communalism took a backseat. Now there's a negative impact, that yes, there was economic growth, there were job opportunities, but it was not enough, right? Economic inequality also increased over the years, right? So there were some communities which remained backward, right? There was not proper inclusive growth of all ethnic groups, all religious groups, right? Say, for example, hey, we can take Sachar committee reports which tell that socio-economic parameters among Muslims went very down, right? So if there are these economic inequalities increases, obviously your religious, identity will become important. You will start asking for benefits from the state based on your religion. So again, this will lead to certain kind of disorder or chaos in the society. Then resource allocation. There was a competition of resources in post-liberal economy, which led to ethnic and communal groups, trying to have control over these key areas, right? This was being exploited by the political leaders itself. Then next, urbanization and displacement happened during post-liberal economy. So when you are displacing these communities, there is always a threat for losing their distinct culture, their values. So again, as a kind of defense system, they start, having a more stronger ethnic identity or your religious identity. Then your political exploitation, as we have read. So for just for your vote gain, right? In your post LPG economy, they started exploiting your ethnic and communal identity. They said that, okay, if you are not getting jobs, if proper resources are not coming to you, or your socio-economic parameters are low, it is because there is some another community. So this political exploitation was also responsible. Then social mobility. So economic reforms, when different communities saw that, okay, one community is having more social mobility and then us, so again, unhealthy competition is being created, and top of it, when exploited by the politician. So this was some of the negative impacts which the post-liberal economy had on your ethnic identity and your communalism, right? So now how to conclude it? Conclusion is just simply write down that post-liberal economy, it surely brought a lot of economic growth for India, job opportunities, but when over the time some economic inequalities increased, some communities could not have equal amount of sharing in the benefits or the fruits of development. This led to strengthening, and on top of it, it was being exploited. And then you write down what to do. You have to have inclusive growth, you have affirmative action with respect to communities which do not have proper, or who are backward, or socioeconomic parameters are down. So these points will come in your conclusion part, solutions basically, right? So with this, we have discussed your 2023 paper. Indian society we have covered. So today after this, just go and see if you can solve these questions. Always when you see a discussion video, try to solve the questions from your side after you're done with it. Do some assisted answer writing. And then next we will be coming up with your UPSC essay discussion and also UPSC sociology. All these videos will be covered by me only. And in case you want the key for Indian society, just check the description box for your answer key. And in case you are having any issues, right, you are having any doubts about preparation, this is my Telegram ID. You can reach from here, S0390. Just drop me a message that you have seen my video and you are having these issues. I'll be more than happy to, clear your doubts and tell you how to prepare. So S0390, my name is Shilpa Bhatti. You will find it, right? So you can drop a message. And with this, we finish our key for your Indian society. Thank you so much.